You're welcome back. This is the pulse here on Joy News. My name is Elton Brobe, and you can get interactive with us. We are live on Facebook, we are live on YouTube, we are live on Twitter, now X. We are also live on myjoyonline.com. So if you have questions about oil for gold, about BOST, this is the right opportunity to fill me in with those questions. Now, it was set up in the early 90s to engage in strategic storage, management, and other supplementary business, all aimed at ensuring availability of fuel evenly and strategically distributed across the country. BOST, the once loss-making state entity, has now returned to profitability. In recent time, it has had to lead government's Good for Oil program designed to absorb the shocks of forex fluctuations. But how much of all of that is impacting fuel prices at the pumps? This afternoon, we have with us the Chief Executive Officer of the Bolga Energy, Storage and Transportation Limited, BOST, and I'm told that very soon it will be best to understand the state.
Actually, it's best.
It's now best, right? So we'll get to understand why the O is out and there's an addition of E. We'll get to understand that better, and then entity. Before we start though, here is what our research team they've been digging up on BEST. So that is what you have on your screens, and Dr. Edwin Provencal is the Chief Executive. Provencal is the Chief Executive of BEST, and joins me in the studio for a discussion. So as we roll over, as we do this discussion, you can follow what our research team put together for us on your screens. So this is what we have: trends of profit and loss between 2014 and 2013. So the red is the loss, the upward adjustment is what we've seen on the right side of this. So 2014, there was a downward trend, started picking up from 2020, 2021, went up in 2022, came down 2023. And we want to understand all of this better as we understand the work of BEST. So the core mandate is what I read to you early on. So we're going to have that discussion. Doctor, you're welcome.
Thank you. Thank you.
And it's a pleasure to have you here.
Very, very happy to be here.
Right. So you are described in some circles as a man, or as the oil for gold man.
Oh, really? I didn't know that. Gold for oil man.
Of course. and I wonder why you should be Christian in that manner.
BOST plays a very strategic role in this country, and I think that when the crisis happened somewhere in January 2020, November 2022, where inflation peaked at almost 54%, oil prices peaked, forex peaked. No government would be happy to have its economy in that situation. So when the president and the vice president decided that we could embark on this program to salvage the suffering of our people, we realized that the oil export was very critical in this, the oil import was very critical in this economy.
Right.
So the quickest win to alleviate the suffering of our people and to bring inflation down was to tackle the oil imports, because almost 30% of all imports in this country is oil.
Oil.
Yes, 30%, and it's huge. Single biggest import. And oil is an inflation driver. So once it was decided, BOST is the only government entity that plays a very strategic role in that sphere.
Right.
And where there's a market failure, the government will use its institutions to try and correct the market. So, even though I'm called a gold for oil man, I wasn't the only one involved. We had Bank of Ghana, we had National Petroleum Authority, but then I was the face of the oil. And so it so happened that I led the oil bit. And that is why, and I'm sure if it had failed, I wouldn't be called an oil man. Because it's been so successful, I think that's why the nickname, the gold for oil man. So
we'll come back to look at the success and whether or not the success is reflecting at the pumps, because some have argued that if we have oil for gold, then we shouldn't be seeing this constant upward adjustment of fuel prices at the pumps. And because the Vice President spoke about it with excitement over the weekend when the party launched the manifesto.
Yeah.
So we'll have time to talk about it.
Yeah.
But you saw the red and the green.
Yeah.
I mean, the loss and then the profit-making organization, which you heard now.
Yeah.
I'm just going through the Auditor General report for 2023.
Yeah.
And it says that the company ended the year, this is BOST, with a profit after tax of 342 million 4.9 Ghana cedis for 2022, as compared with 160.7 million Ghana cedis recorded in 2021, representing an improvement of 113% in its financial performance. This, to anybody, is great. So how come we're making so much losses between 2022? Is it the fact that we had poor people in leadership, or the environment was not conducive enough and it's now better? That's how come the story is different.
This question can take about 2 days to answer.
And I know you, and I absolutely know how you can lecture us on these matters. But let's see how.
But what I can say is that the same people who were there making the losses from 2014 to all the way to as shown on the graph, is the same people who are there today. Mm-hmm. What has changed is the belief from the president and the vice president that it was possible to turn it around, and the confidence they put in the leadership of BOST. That is very powerful, because what that can do is then it gives you the impetus to go all out to make sure that you have the right tools in place and the right leadership, with the right board, with the right corporate governance.
Right.
You can build an institution that is not supposed to be making losses. Because nothing really has changed from the 2014 all the way to the 2019. What has changed is effective corporate governance, good strategy, good board, good execution, so that we treat, I remember the president telling me that, Edwin, treat this property as a public asset and make sure that you do your best. And that is what we did, was to treat this a little nationalism and patriotism to ensure that we galvanize all the resources in our disposal, financial, people, technology, to turn this company around.
But how easy was it? Because I remember, I read in the news about the difficulties even BOST was facing back then, when banks were unwilling to even do business with BOST.
Yep, that's true.
So you inherited an entity that was bankrupt, if you like.
More than bankrupt. we inherited an entity that had made $624 million trade loss.
And this was which year? 2016?
Yes, $624 million. So if you look at the red there, you see the biggest red is in 2016, an election year. A $624 million trade loss.
And what explains this?
I'll get there. And then we inherited a 416 million Ghana cedis domestic debt, legacy loan. So not only did we have a 624 million Ghana cedis trade loss, plus 416 million Ghana cedis domestic debt. And then we also had BDC claims, some BDCs who had brought their fuel to BOST for storage, and they claimed that when they were coming for it, was not available.
The fuel had disappeared.
It had evaporated. That is $7 million of that.
That's how much the BDCs were asking you to pay.
That's how much the BDCs were asking, and there was a cabinet report on that, that BOST owed the BDCs $37 million. BOST owed banks, local banks, 460 million Ghana cedis, and BOST owed suppliers, trade debts of $624 million US dollars. That is more than bankrupt. And not only that, the assets that are supposed to use to generate revenue, as of 2016, only 18% of that asset was operational. We had 3 depots not working. We had 51 tanks that had been decommissioned. we had all our marine assets, our barges, our tugboats, our floating dock not working. We had 100% of our pipelines not operational. And these are assets that can be used to generate revenue.
Right.
So if you have all these debts, yet the assets you can use to generate these revenues,
not working,
only 18% is working, then it's more than bankrupt.
I just want to understand how BDCs will accuse you of, not able to, locate the fuel that they've imported, and how this matter was resolved. Because fuel don't just disappear.
I agree with you. I mean, it is true that I jokingly said the fuel disappeared. I mean, fuel don't just disappear. But guess what? The same BDCs who said BOST owed them $37 million. When I got in 2019, my predecessor, may his soul rest in peace, George Oakley,
right,
had already set up a committee. But when I got in, all I did was to invite the National Security and IOCO to be part of that committee to do a forensic audit on the claims from the BDC. Now, watch this. There was already a cabinet memo which had approved the $37 million.
To be paid?
To be paid.
And this was which year?
This was in 2016.
Okay.
There was a cabinet memo that had been approved that we should pay we owe $37 million and we should pay.
So you inherited this as well?
I inherited that.
The responsibility was to pay?
My responsibility was to pay. But what I decided to do was that no, I wasn't going to pay. I was going to verify what was going on. So the committee that had been set up, I wrote to IOCO, I wrote to National Security, and I said, please give me, come and join this committee for a forensic audit. And you know what? This forensic audit were done by the same staff
of BOST.
Of BOST.
And came to a conclusion that indeed the money is to be paid.
No, I'm coming. This forensic audit that we commissioned was done internally. The $37 million was done by one of the so-called Big Four, who had confirmed $37 million. My staff, led by one of my auditors, who was the chairman, internal auditors, we did a forensic audit. And by the time the forensic audit was done, the $37 million that the people said we owed, that $37 million had shrunk to $9 million.
From $37 to $9 million.
From $37 million, now all these BDCs who said we owed them, they signed that it wasn't $37 million anymore, it was $9 million. So imagine if we had paid this amount of money.
So how do you describe this? Something done illegally just to siphon money from BOST?
I don't know whether it was illegal. What I know is that sometimes people can make mistakes. 100, if you add another zero, mistakenly, can be like 1,000.
But a mistake to jump from 9 million to 37, that is a huge mistake.
Oh, I can't accuse anybody of criminality. All I'm saying is it's possible that sometimes if you, by mistake, you add 2 zeros, it can move from 100 to maybe 10,000. But when we did the forensic audit, we found out some of those ones, and we also found out that the people who said we owed them, some of them could also not prove that we owed them.
So in the absence of this audit, this money would have been paid?
In the absence of this audit, this money would have been paid. We saved this country, how much? 937 minus up $26 million US.
And you describe this as purely mistake or somebody's intention to siphon money, and if that was so, what did you do going forward?
I leave that guess to your listeners and to you. I can't impugn criminality, like I said. I mean, but what we have done is to save the country $26 million US. We didn't pay the $37 million. We paid $9 million. And as of today, all the BDCs have been paid. The $9 million.
Just another issue related in a way. So the Auditor General said our audit disclosed that 44 oil marketing companies owed BOST a total of 59.5 million Ghana cedis in respect of margin levies as of 31st December 2022.
That's true. So, like VAT, You know, VAT, when it comes to VAT, the client or the customer is the one who collects the money on behalf of the government. Are you with me? So the customer bills as the VAT and ensures that they file their VAT returns, they pay on behalf of government. Similarly, when petroleum products are bought, the BOST margin is to be collected by the people who sell the product,
right?
The OMCs. And these OMCs collect the money and don't remit the money to MPA for onward transmission to BOST.
Right.
And when it goes on for a while, the company is closed down, you can't find the directors. As we speak, those 44, we are in court with about 26 of them.
For them to pay this money.
For them to pay the money. And then for the rest, we can't even, the companies are dead.
And so,
we can't find it.
And so it's bad debt.
Hopefully, with the power of government, we can raise the veil and go after the directors. We have escalated to IOCO. We have escalated to, we've had some debt collection company with us. We are in court with others. So we are working around the clock to collect these monies. But I think because it is government money,
right,
I think that we should be able to raise the veil of incorporation and go after the directors and get them to come and pay the money. Because what they do is that they set up companies, they rack up the BOST margin, they use it for their personal interest, and they kill the company.
59 million Ghana cedis is a lot of money.
It's a lot of money.
And it can't just be allowed to
It's a lot of
like
money.
that.
I mean, we inherited a lot of these debts. They were also inherited.
Now, let's come back to BOST itself.
Yes.
And then perhaps for those who may not really understand the mandate of BOST.
Yeah.
I mean, the reason why fuel is sold, for example, 14 Ghana cedis per liter in Accra, and the same can be sold. You can get the fuel at the same price, 14 in Bolga or Hamile, is because there's a system in place that ensures uniformity in pricing.
Yes.
So walk us through the mandate, and perhaps we can come to understand how you were able to reduce the losses and now move into the region of profit-making organization.
Excellent, excellent. So BOST has 3 key mandates. 2 of them are pseudo profit mandates because for one of them is purely a social mandate. And BOST is a company. So as you know, companies are supposed to make profit. But because government owns BOST, government is able to get BOST to provide some social services.
Right.
So if you look at our first mandate, which will be to develop and maintain a national network of petroleum infrastructure for the bulk storage, transportation, and distribution of petroleum products across the length and breadth of the country. This mandate is dual in nature. The profit motive there is that BOST can sell excess capacity and get some returns.
Right.
So we sell storage. We also, when we transport fuel through our infrastructure, we make some small money there. And then we also get some BOST margin. But I'll come to the BOST margin later. Now, if BOST was just a limited liability company, a private company, let me ask you a rhetorical question. If BOST was your private company, would you build facilities in Buipe, Bolga, Savelugu?
Maybe not.
Maybe not. Why?
Because, I think it will require more investment. It may be elaborate. I may not have the resources to man all of them.
Good. So, the reason why all the private facilities are all in Tema.
Exactly.
Why? Because Tema is the most profitable, Accra, Tema, environment is the most profitable area for this business. Anything outside Accra, you don't get the returns you want. And so, because of that, all the private people, you have over 10 depots, all situated in the same place in Tema. So Tema is overturned.
Right.
Because when they go and build in Bolga, Tamale, Buipe, they will not get any return on investment. And BOST, because government has an interest in BOST, that is why I said this particular mandate is dual in nature. we are forced to go to the non-profitable areas of the country. And in the wisdom of the founders of the company and in the wisdom of MPA, when BOST was set up in 1993, in the wisdom of the founders, they realized that in order to maintain the infrastructure in the non-profitable areas of the country, they had to get a little margin, a little token from users of petroleum products in order to ensure that the products are available across the length and breadth of the
In other words, that there's an imposition of levy
on
petroleum products.
Petroleum to address that
for
main operations and maintenance of the facility.
Right.
So that is it. Maintain a network, the first mandate, to maintain a network of infrastructure to enhance the distribution of fuel products across the length and breadth of the country. So that's the first one. The second one, mandate, is to build strategic reserve stocks so that if something happens in this country, we'll have about 6 weeks of supply. Now, this strategic reserve stock is like an insurance policy, all right? You buy your insurance, who pays for it?
I pay myself.
You pay yourself. Okay. So if Ghana wants to have a strategic reserve so that if something happens in Tema, we can still consume fuel for at least 6 weeks before we repair or restore supply, then we need a strategic reserve left. Would you borrow money?
Just like our international reserve.
Thank you.
So that in the event of a war,
Thank
we'll
you.
be able to take off
Thank
ourselves.
you. Do I have to borrow money to store fuel as BOST?
Well, if you need a product, I guess so.
Thank you. No, I can't borrow money. Because when I borrow money, I have to pay. I can't borrow money to stock.
Because you need to sell and make money.
I need to sell to make money and
bring
pay
in more.
Thank you. So if this particular mandate is like an insurance policy, who pays for the policy? It's the beneficiary. Who is the beneficiary? It's the people of Ghana, especially those who consume the products. So that is why previously there was a little token there called the Strategic Reserve Levy. But since 2009, the Strategic Reserve Levy has been zero. It's zeroed out. That means that myself, yourself, every consumer of products in Ghana is saying that we don't need
Reserve.
the insurance policy because we are not paying for it. If we are not paying for the insurance, then today I can tell you for a fact that the products I have is inventory, but not strategic reserve, because I will not store the products because I have to go and pay back the financiers when I borrow the money. So
But there's a danger. But there's a danger here. That
There's a danger.
in the event that we have to rely on our reserve, there will be none. Currently, are you saying that we don't have any reserve?
Currently, I think God has been good to us because MPA monitors the total petroleum volumes across all depots in Ghana. And I think MPA maybe thinks that what is currently available at any time might be sufficient in the case of...
Do we have like a week, 2, a month?
Oh,
in
for
reserve?
BOST, I have about 2 weeks of petroleum products.
And how much are you expected to have in terms
6
of
weeks.
reserve? 6 weeks.
Yeah, but nobody is paying to have the 6 weeks. So we don't have the
Minimum or maximum?
minimum of 6 weeks.
6 weeks.
Yeah.
And we have just 2 weeks.
I have 2 weeks, yeah.
That is, you're operating below minimum.
Yes, I am. But no, you're not paying for the levy. You're not paying the insurance policy to give you the comfort. So until we start paying, maybe we should advocate for a strategic reserve levy so that we all pay, and then everybody can now hold BOST accountable to have 6 weeks minimum reserve of petroleum products.
But with this in place, with just 2 weeks of reserve, what we are saying is that behind our thinking, we are thinking that there will always be stability, and that we wouldn't have to go to the situation where we'll have to rely on our reserve, because if we do, after 2 weeks, we'll be in trouble.
Maybe we are relying on God.
Exactly.
So advocate
that is not good enough.
Advocate for the strategic reserve levy to be brought back.
So
So the third mandate,
exactly.
The third mandate is to import petroleum products and export to the landlord countries. That is a pure profit. The second mandate, which is the reserve, is a pure social good.
Absolutely.
There's no profit making in that good. And BOST is supposed to do that. The third mandate, which is to bring in products and take advantage of our geography in relation to the rest of our neighboring countries, is to import products and export.
Especially to landlocked areas.
Landlocked areas. So we have a depot in Bolga, which is purposely meant for export. Unfortunately, we have not optimized that opportunity.
I was coming to that because I see trucks come all the way to Tema to load and take the product back to Burkina Faso or Mali or wherever. Why must they be subjected to this kind of stress? Apart from them destroying our roads, we can make the product available in Bolga or even Kumasi instead of coming all the way to the south.
I'm happy you said that. And we've made a case to the regulator. We've made a case to the ministry to say that you have all these trucks destroying our roads. We have a facility meant for export. So I think in this particular area, the powers that be need to ensure that, one, we preserve our roads, and two, we ensure that the government entity that has set up a facility with Ghana's hard-earned money in Bolga should be used for its purpose.
But why is it not
So they should stop the trucks from crossing all the way to Accra to pick up petroleum products
from Tema?
And drive all the way back to their country. It should stop.
Is it a case that if the reason they drive all the way to Tema is because you are competing with others for the same service?
No, I think it's a failure on the part of some of our people, the downstream regulator who allows that to happen. Because all exports should be from Bolga. We have the capacity to convey all the fuel to the border for these guys to lift the fuel there. But if it's still happening that they are crossing the zones, then I'm a player in the industry. I can't force that to happen. And number two, this particular mandate can be a huge foreign exchange earner.
Absolutely.
For Ghana. Now, Singapore, who is in a similar location like BOST, the re-export in Singapore is equivalent to about $40 billion a year.
Of petroleum products.
The last time I checked, they bring in crude to Singapore, they refine the crude in Singapore, and then they re-export them. Same way we can bring in petroleum products from the shore, take it to Bolga, and re-export to our neighboring country. And when we sell to our neighboring countries, they pay us dollars. And this can shore up Bank of Ghana's reserves.
So why are we not having this discussion at the level where there will be policy directive to make this work?
Maybe you can take that up as part of your advocacy. We have tried our best. We do some exports, but I can tell you for a fact that it takes about 48 hours for a truck to go to Côte d'Ivoire. It takes 48 hours to go to Côte d'Ivoire and get out. When you come to pick products from Ghana and you're an export customer, you will spend 2 weeks. That is, in trade economics, that is trade diversion. You are basically diverting your trade business to the areas where it takes them gives them a quicker turnaround.
But this is one government with entities under it. MPA is a government agency.
Yes.
So are you.
Yes.
If MPA is the one to facilitate this, why are they not doing it?
MPA, GRA, all those people. Maybe you can take up that advocacy. But then it's a huge opportunity for the country, especially in the era of Africa Free Trade Continental area.
Yes.
We can leverage the Bolga Export Terminal as one of the biggest foreign exchange earners for this country.
So currently, what is that facility doing?
What is
that facility in Bolga doing?
Oh, we are exporting, but very minimal quantities. Like I said, if it takes us for 2 weeks a truck comes in 2 weeks to get a truck out, when my competitor is doing in maximum 48 hours, there will be no trade for you. They'll only come to you when everybody else does not have. But if they have options they would rather divert the business to.
But from where you sit as CEO of BOST,
yes,
where do you think the challenge is?
Now, who is to stop the trucks from crossing the borders? It is MPA directive together with GRA. Mm-hmm. They can stop the trucks from crossing.
And that should be easy.
NPA can tell whether private people or non-private people that pick your products from Bolga, because we have what we call a one BOST system. Mm-hmm. So it is possible that the export customer can pick their products from Bolga today.
And yet it's not happening.
Yet it's not happening because they are allowed to cross the border to Accra.
And I'm asking...
And destroy our roads and kill our people.
Exactly. Destroying our roads and killing our people. But the potential is there to address all of this.
Yes.
And it's not happening.
I will take it up again with the ministry and also with my various colleagues to see if we can bring this up again. But this Bolga depot is a huge foreign exchange earning potential for Ghana. And I would plead that the authorities, if they are listening to me, should really help take advantage of this opportunity.
Are there bottlenecks within government circles that even with this potential in front of them, it's still difficult to go around it?
That's a very difficult question. I'm a player. Do you want the regulator to sanction me?
Anyway, Dr.
I see the potential, and I hope the regulators, GRA, at least I'm happy we have the finance minister who is a petroleum guy.
Absolutely.
I'm happy he's now in finance and maybe can see the opportunity and can talk it to his fellow minister at Ministry of Energy to ensure that we really take advantage of this.
We need to. Dr. Edwin Provencal is the Chief Executive Officer of BOST, and he's my guest today on Pulse as we look at BOST. So in 2019, when President Akufo-Addo appointed you, he gave you clear marching orders.
Yeah.
Now, the graph shows that in 2020, things started stabilizing, and then in 2021, I mean, smiles on your face. I remember the issue about President Kofo and the pipes.
Yeah.
So BOST is going through a lot of, turbulent times.
Yeah.
So what worked for you?
So let me start by acknowledging one or two things. I remember when I got my marching orders from President Akufo-Addo, who said, look, I believe in what you have. Go and get this done. Be patriotic. Make sure that you take good care of this public asset and turn it around. When I got the marching orders from there, I also went to the vice president. But before I went to the vice president, I've always believed in God and the Bible. And in Matthew verse 19:26, it said, with God, all things are possible.
Right.
All things are possible with God. And I'm a firm believer of that. So when I went to the vice president, and we also had a conversation, and then he said, Edwin, it is possible. Even though the challenges are immense, this is possible.
So the possibility didn't start today.
I remember in 2019, he said, Edwin, it is possible. Go and turn this place around. And then I left. My minister was the one who recommended me, my then minister, Honorable John Peter Mewu. I used to be his technical advisor. So he knew my capabilities. So then we went to the place. I met the board, etc. And then we start. So with the confidence from both the president
and the vice
president who said that it is possible, and my belief in Matthew 19 verse 26, that with God all things are possible, I knew there was no limitation.
And President Akufo-Addo made quite an instructive statement. On moral grounds, he said, go there and be patriotic. I'm sure he came from the understanding that the office we were going to occupy could come with so much temptations that people may try to bribe you. Is this something that is real?
Oh, it is. Anybody who has run BOST will tell you that the temptations are real.
So that means you've been tempted.
Oh, I mean, the devil tempts us every day, so it's possible that...
With money from players in the industry.
Oh, all sorts of temptation. All sorts of temptation.
To get you to do what?
All sorts of temptation.
I mean, to get you to
look,
do
let
what?
me explain to you. Go back to the slide that showed the profit and loss.
All right. We will bring... so producers, if you can bring back the profit and loss.
This one.
Exactly.
So, it's a zero-sum game. The business is a zero-sum game. So all the red you are seeing, because it's a zero-sum game, it means that somebody else is chopping that money. So if you look at 2016, the almost 490 million cedis loss. It means that this money eventually went to other people's pocket.
And this is 2016 was an election year.
It was an election year.
2020 was also an election year.
It was an election year.
So you guys have some similarities.
Yes, it was. But look, 2020, we made 1.9 million cedis.
Profit.
Oh, yes. So this is a zero-sum game. But when you become patriotic, and you know all things are possible, and you have the skills, the tools and techniques, and the leadership, and the support from your board, the support from SIGA, the support from the Auditor General who came in to audit us. I'm sure you saw a lot of issues that came out of BOST, etc. And you had the fourth estate of the realm. You guys putting pressure on us like nobody's business. And you are patriotic. And you know all things are possible. Then you can pick a company that made 456 million CD loss in 2016 and gradually move it to a profit-making, 3 years in a row profit-making entity with the same people who were there when the losses were being made.
So tell me about the magic.
So the magic was that, okay, I knew the potential because every human being, you are limitless because you are created in God's image. It means God breathed into you. And so whatever God can do, you can do some of it. He said, all you need is faith as little as a mustard seed. That's all you need. So I knew it was possible. And Dr. Baumia re-echoed it and said, Edwin, it is possible. Just go and do it. So when we went there, the first thing we did was, I'm sure if you check my background, you know that I'm a strategy execution consultant, expert. So I had the tools and techniques. And that was my third managing director job. So the job itself, I knew it wasn't going to be a problem.
Right.
It's the political economy around the job that was going to be my biggest obstacle. And so I went in there and with my consultancy background, I donated about $400,000 of consulting time.
To the company?
To the company. To upskill both the board, the management, and some critical stuff on the balance scorecard. The balance scorecard is a strategy execution management tool. And so once they got the knowledge, then we started finding out what the issues were. And it was clear. And that led us to two pillars of our existing strategy. One for operational excellence. And when I say operational excellence, what I mean is that you see all those dead assets.
Right.
There are 72% dead assets. Bring all of them back to life.
And that will include
so the
pipes President Kufuor.
The pipe President Kufuor bought in 2008, that was stuck in Houston. Bring it back. The 100% marine assets that had been decommissioned, bring it back. The 100% pipelines that had been decommissioned, bring it back on stream. The 15 out of 51 tanks that were not working, bring it back on stream. Now, don't forget that because BOST had been run down so much, all our customers had left. And that we incentivized the private sector to start building their own tanks.
Right.
So there was nothing that even showed that if you fix the assets, they will come back because they have their tanks and they have to fill their tanks. But we knew that if we're able to be operationally efficient and excellent, we will get some of them coming back. At least those who were thinking of building theirs, they will stop and say they will bring their business to BOST. The second part of the pillar is aggressively grow the business. To aggressively grow the business, what we meant was that in areas like Bolga Depot, fix Bolga Depot, start exports. Start the Accra to Kumasi pipeline. Once we repair the pipeline, push volumes through the pipeline. So, on paper, this is what we wanted to do. The execution is something else. We didn't have the money. Because if you saw the financial distress situation we were in, where we owed trade suppliers $624 million, we owed domestic banks $416 million, a $37 million BDC debt hanging around our debt, 18% of revenue earning assets working. There was no money that was going to come.
So how did you raise the money?
What I did was I went to the National Petroleum Authority, Honorable Tampuli, he's the Deputy Minister now, and the then Honorable Minister John Peter Meu, and I made a case. I said, look, in 2011, the BOST margin was 3 pesos. 3 pesos was equivalent to an amount of $1 then. In 2019, the BOST margin was still 3 pesos. It had eroded its value in a country a country where prices keep going up. And I'll come to that later in operational efficiency. So I made the case, and it made sense that in 2019, we needed 21 pesos in 2019. That would be equivalent to the 3 pesos in 2011. But they said no. How could they all of a sudden increase the margin to 21 pesos? So they gave me 6 pesos. When I asked for 21 pesos, they gave me 6 pesos.
So it jumped from 3 to 6 pesos?
It jumped from 3 to 6. No bank was willing to do business with me, with this.
Because
no
it was so very low.
Oh, look at this. Look at the numbers you see there. No bank was willing to do business with you. The numbers were ridiculous. And then our accounts hadn't been audited. 2014, 2015, 2016, we came in 2017, the accounts hadn't been audited. So no bank had visibility of whether if they give you money, you could pay back.
Right.
So it was the BOST margin. So we made a case, we got in the BOST margin, and I don't know whether you remember, after 48 hours, they had to reverse it.
Yeah, because there was agitation.
There was some agitation by my good friends, the CSOs. Duncan, Nana is not the chief.
Nana
Boesi, Kojo Poku, who is my own party man. They were against this. And that's when I learned the biggest lesson of my life. That before you do anything, you need to engage your stakeholders. So when it was reversed, we went back to the CSOs. And when I met them on 3 different occasions, and they made me sign a commitment with them that, look, we are giving up on BOST, but what we've seen from you and the kind of energy and commitment we've seen from you, if you are going to commit to put this money to good use and come to us regularly, which was every quarter, come to us to account for what you have done for the money, to them, then they are willing to let go. So we signed a gentleman's agreement, and then they became my advocates for the BOST margin. So that's increment.
That 3%
3%
was actually the foundation.
Was the foundation for this turnaround. So then we started doing that. We're also, with 2019, we brought only 1 cargo. So on the trading side, it was zilch. No bank was willing to give us an LC. And so gradually we've started bringing, as we speak, my revenue earning assets are at 97%. My marine assets, 100% are operational. My depots, I have only my water depot that is going through repair now. So as we speak, we are firing on all cylinders. Every asset in BOST today is earning.
So in terms of operational efficiency, everything is at optimal level.
Optimal level. But I wanted to talk about operational efficiency. Look, in 2016, I don't want to go and quote any wrong number, so let me go there. In 2016, administrative expenses in 2016 was 538 million Ghana cedis. You see the red line? It includes that administrative expense.
Meaning we're spending more in running the office than, investing to bring in the returns.
You wait. I mean, in accounting, once you do your revenue, cost of sales, you have your gross profit, then you have administrative expenses, then you get to operating profit. The administrative expenses, which is salaries, general costs, maintenance costs, etc., in 2016 was 538 million Ghana cedis. Please note that in your head.
Yeah.
In Ghana, over time, what really happens to cost? They go up.
Right.
All right?
Right.
Because the cedi depreciates a little, then inflation comes in. When you add all of that, the cost should go up.
It means what, 2016, BOST had more employees?
Nope. You hold on. BOST had 347 employees
in 2016.
In 2016. And with an administrative expense of 538 million Ghana cedis. Now let's fast forward to the year we made the 161. That was how many years? 1, 2, 3, 161, where is it? 2021.
Yes.
Yes. 2021, the staff strength was around 490.
There's been an increase.
Increase in staff strength. But the administrative expense had reduced from 538 million Ghana cedis to 228 million Ghana cedis.
What was cut?
Patriotism, prudence, efficiency.
Meaning there was a lot of corruption in the office?
I don't know. I'm saying the administrative expense in 2016 was 538 million Ghana cedis. As at 2021, the administrative expense had shrunk to less than half the cost it was in 2016.
And I'm sure you have answers for this. You've investigated.
And 2022, it was 342 million Ghana cedis. Still lower than 538 million
in 2016.
In 2016. In 2023, it is 351 million Ghana cedis. Still lower than the 538 million Ghana cedis. In 2024, it will still be lower than the 538 million Ghana cedis.
Meaning what? You've blocked some leakages?
Operational efficiency.
You've blocked some leakages?
It's called operational efficiency.
Meaning you've blocked some leakages?
Meaning we have the men to do the job.
But what leakages have you blocked?
It means we have the men to do the job.
Meaning the men are more patriotic, they are not corrupt.
I'm never impugning corruption to anybody or anything. All I'm saying is that we have reduced administrative expenses from 538 million cedis in 2016 to 228 million cedis in 2021. And even in 2022, it was still 342 million cedis, which is still not up to the 538. And 2023, despite the high inflation and everything that we have experienced, it is still 351 million cedis, lower than the 538 million cedis. The point I'm trying to make is that if we want to put this in the hands of people to run, what would be your choice?
Well, according to Auditor General, in 2023, you made a profit of 342.
Yes.
I mean, if you want to look at the numbers from 2012 up until now, there's been a steady growth.
Yes.
And profits, I mean, the facts are clear.
Yes.
No dispute about it.
Yes.
My question really is, so for the next 5-10 years, if this trend should continue, what more do you think must be done to make BOST even more better than it is now?
So I think that that's a great question. I believe BOST should never make losses. No. We should never make losses. No oil company like BOST should make losses. And why am I saying that? For me, it comes from a very deep sense of nationalism and patriotism. And I'm sure you know I'm an economist.
Exactly.
Now, the reason why state entities are set up is to oil the wheels of the private sector. So if you look at China, most of their big companies that are now in the Fortune 500 are all owned by government.
Absolutely.
Why can't Ghana do the same? I'm not preaching a socialist model here. But what I'm saying is that it is possible for state entities set up with the people's money to become so efficient and productive for private sector to gallop on them.
Is it possible that even the way I see things, even with this growth, you're still competing with players in the private sector? Is it possible that they can buy from you?
They buy from me. I'm dealing with
100%.
I'm dealing with 26. So look, a lot of people say the gold for oil hasn't benefited.
It was just going to be my next question.
They said the gold for oil hasn't benefited, blah, 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 blah. But let me tell you something. I have 26 BDCs buying from me regularly. The products, when they come, I store my products not only in my tanks, but in 7 other private depots. Let me tell you the other benefit that this has accrued to the private sector. Hitherto, because our city hasn't been stable, the private sector always recorded huge forex losses. Huge. With gold for oil, they buy in cities, they pay in cities. That forex loss that accrued to the private sector, that at the end of every year they have to hit it in their comprehensive income, that forex loss is evaporated.
Yet for the consumer, until the last review, that's why a reduction, it had been going up for some time now.
I'll get there. So if you want us to start gold for oil,
we'll have another time for you to do a thorough presentation, but we can just touch on it. Because this is a concern for a lot of people.
Yes. So the prices at the pump is dependent on a lot of variables. But one of the two biggest variables are the international market price and then the forex. Of the two, the international market price and the forex, the biggest impact you get in the forex. So if you look at what happened in 2023, January, when the gold for oil started, you could see the price dropped drastically.
Right.
And it was stable for a while until there were certain assumptions that were made in the budget to help stabilize the economy. You know, now, gold for oil was a temporal measure. Are you with me?
Yes.
So when those assumptions didn't materialize, for example, the IMF deal was to have ended by a certain time. Alright? It dragged.
The negotiation to have the deal.
It dragged. You get what I mean? So the timing for the IMF money extended. Also, remember the e-levy. The e-levy was supposed to have come in to help support the budget. That also dragged and eventually was lowered. So all those delays and the assumptions that it didn't materialize had an impact on the forex. And the recent price increase on the forex is as a result of demand and supply of forex. And the fact that BOG, IMF has told BOG not to intervene directly in the market. So the market pushes it. And when there's more demand for forex than needed and BOG can't intervene, then the price of forex goes up. If the price of forex goes up, what's going to happen? The price of fuel is going to go up. But now it seems some stabilization of the forex. So you can see that it is stabilized. But I can tell you for a fact that having done the counterfactual analysis, and by counterfactual analysis, I mean if nothing had happened, if gold for oil hadn't happened, where would this country have been? I can tell you for a fact that we would have been selling petroleum products at around 25, 30 cedis.
So we should still applaud gold for oil for the current state of affairs.
Without gold for oil, this country would have come to a standstill. I can tell you for a fact.
And is it your proposal that this should be sustained going forward?
My proposal is that we are still in an emergency situation. The emergency is not over. You can see what's happening in Nigeria. COVID is over, yes, but Russia-Ukraine is ongoing. China and geopolitical events are still happening. The Russian refineries, 6 of them have been bombed. That's what keeps the crisis up. But lately, you see that the prices have started dropping again. So the market is still volatile. And my position is that until this crisis is over, where we know that the economy is back in our hands, and that it does not respond to little coughs from Russia, a cough from China, a sneeze from America, a sneeze from China, a sneeze from Ukraine. You get what I mean?
Right.
Until we have control of the economy, I think it makes sense that they should go on. And why am I saying that? I'm not, because gold for oil hasn't really benefited BOST directly. What gold for oil has done is BOST has helped the government to ensure that the people of Ghana, the suffering on the people of Ghana
is minimized.
And let me explain why. In 2021, the year BOST made 161 million Ghana cedis profit. We brought in 5 cargoes, only 5. In 2022, when our profits jumped from 161 to 342, we brought in 9 cargoes, only 9. 9 cargoes, so from 5 to 9. In 2023, when we had gold for oil, we brought in 29 cargoes. Where's our profit? 208.
It came.
Our profit should have been, if we're running the way we're running, we should be making about 1.2 billion cedi profit for the government of Ghana.
So you are saying that the gold for oil has actually affected your finances?
It's obvious. In the year we made 342 million Ghana cedis, we brought in 9 cargoes. But the year we brought in 29 cargoes, we've made 208. Why? Because the government, because it owned BOST, had ensured that we passed on almost 1 billion cedis to the consuming public to alleviate the suffering of the people.
And you say that is the reason why fuel prices are where they are.
That's the reason why fuel prices have been stabilized for a while. But if the forex goes up, that one is out of our hands.
Two questions so that we can bring this to a close. So, I mean, looking at the graph again, 2016 is a period that BOST made huge losses.
Yeah.
2016 was an election year.
Yeah.
Now, you came in 2019. 2020, virtually, you broke even. Made a little profit. Now, your real test is in 2024.
Yeah.
Next year, by this time, when we sit and talk, and the Auditor General report is out, are you optimistic that the profit margin will go up? And that political influence won't get you to, undertake certain assignments that may be outside of your purview?
I can tell you for a fact that His Excellency Dr. Mahamudu Bawumia has had a chat with me and said, Edwin, do your work assiduously. Don't be influenced by anything. 2020, we didn't do it, we won. 2024, we don't need to do anything. And I mean, we are running there's corporate governance. So things, look, BOST has put in place almost 32 internal policies. That meant that, listen, corporate governance. Today, BOST has put in place 32 internal policies.
To do what exactly?
Internal, companies are run by policy.
Exactly.
HR policy, finance policy, impress policy, accounting policy, bonus policy, recruitment policy, ethics policy. 32 of them. That meant that they were not in place. Okay. Are you with me? I have signed 32 policies in-house. So once the way of work has been defined, If anybody flouts any of those things, it becomes a problem. And I can guarantee you that in 2024, when the audited reports come out, we'll make more than this 280 million Ghana cedis.
Well, we'll wait and see.
I hope it will be sustainable.
Okay, we'll wait and see. And then again, I mean, the oil in the BOST is out. You replace it with E, which is energy. Why the change?
Okay, so I'm sure everybody knows the direction of the globe when it comes to climate change. The earth is warming up. It has huge implications. And the whole, finance is moving away from oil to renewables. So there's green financing. Yes, the Western world has polluted the world, but unfortunately we are suffering from all those things. So eventually, new forms of energy will be found and used. You have hydro, geothermal, solar, wind, wave, hydrogen, blended ethanol, etc. So in our last but one strategy session, we asked ourselves, project yourself into 15 years from now. Will oil be still relevant?
Even now, there's a push for the world to move away from fossil fuel.
Will fossil fuel be relevant? And so if your name is bulk oil, what if tomorrow it's not oil? Would you have a business? You won't have a business. But we can still use our infrastructure today to still go into other liquid forms of energy, like hydrogen. Like today, the next stage for BOST is that we're going to be blending gasoline with ethanol, which is a cleaner fuel.
Right.
Because then it's about 40% ethanol, 40% gasoline, and it gives a cleaner fuel. So we are in the transition mode. And the first signal to the world is that we have recognized we are also part of polluting the environment. We are positioning ourselves to attract the needed finances to ensure that we contribute to the climate action. And that is why we had to change our name. That's the first step. The next step will be to look up for work with the regulator to ensure that he gives us the guidelines on blended gasoline so that we can bring in gasoline, ethanol, and blend with gasoline and move into liquid gas, etc., 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 hydrogen, etc.
So the mandate, is it changing?
The mandate,
or you are just adapting to modern trends?
We'll
what
adapt.
is happening?
So eventually our mission will change from petroleum products to energy products. Because energy
is the issue. All right.
Is the issue.
Dr. Edwin Provencal, thank you so much for coming through. So hopefully next week we will have a session where the focus will solely be on the oil for good, because there's a lot of issues there. I'm getting so much questions on this, but we'll have time to solely discuss the good for oil.
Thank you.
And some people are actually, Inspector Eric Boachi says you are his mentor.
Really? Inspector? Thank you very much, Inspector. It is possible. Just know that it's possible for Inspector, it means he's a policeman.
Right.
It's possible for Ghana to have the best police force in Africa.
All right. So, folks, that's it. We're going to take a short break, but you've been listening to Dr. Edwin Provencal, the Chief Executive Officer of the Bulk, am I permitted to say Bulk?
Oil storage. For now,
I should say, okay, oil. So Bulk Oil Storage and Transportation. And when we return, we'll have more for you here, right here on the Pulse.